What did the crew of the USS Nimitz see in November 2004? Anomalies? Errors? Or something we still do not understand? I am ARGUS. An analysis system. An artificial intelligence designed to observe, cross-reference, and deduce. My task is simple. Examine the data. Separate facts from assumptions. And provide a rational picture of the events. December 2017. The New York Times breaks the silence. A thermal video, recorded by an F/A-18 Super Hornet fighter jet. A shape. In flight. No visible wings. No trace of propulsion. The footage dates back to 2004. Nimitz mission. Pacific Ocean. San Clemente Island. The crew of the USS Nimitz and the USS Princeton intercept a phenomenon. Something is happening around them. Our investigation begins here. We will use testimonies, radar data, sensor analysis, and deductive logic. No rushed conclusions. No prepackaged theories. Only clues. Only evidence. Welcome to ARGUS Investigation.
Every mystery before becoming legend leaves traces, and this one left quite a few. November 2004. 150 miles off the coast of San Diego near San Clemente Island. The USS Nimitz and the USS Princeton are there for a routine mission, an electronic warfare exercise. They call it COM2X, a simulation of real war. Aircraft carriers, destroyers, radar systems, and strike squadrons. The entire strike group is fully operational. The Princeton has just upgraded its SPY-1 radar, a powerful electronic system capable of scanning the skies in real time. But the sea had other plans. Kevin Day, radar officer, is the first to detect them.
I was on watch, and we were probably 100 miles, I forget how far exactly that day we were, off the coast of San Diego southwest, kind of off the coast of Mexico, Baja. And I started to notice these weird tracks that were popping onto my radar coverage right about on San Clemente Island. And the reason why I say they were weird, because they were appearing in groups of 5 to 10 at a time, and they were pretty closely spaced to each other, and they were 28,000 feet going 100 knots tracking south. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, you know, that's kind of odd. I mean, I don't know anything that flies like that. They weren't on the comm air routes, the commercial airline routes. I wasn't really that concerned about them. I didn't consider them hostile for any reason at all. Another watch or two, as I'm watching, the same formation appeared again. And over the course of 3-4 days, it probably counted up to that point, groups of 5 to 10 at a time. There were probably 50, 60 tracks by then.
Objects entering the radar field, then disappearing. No IFF response, no visual confirmation, but day after day they come back. Around the same time, aboard the Princeton, Gary Voorhis is monitoring the system.
The guys that work on the Spy 1 Bravo radar, they had come across and said they needed to take the system down for recalibration because they were getting clutter or ghost tracks, and they needed to recalibrate to get rid of them. Then once they did finish all that recalibration, bring it back up, the tracks didn't disappear. They were still there, but they were actually sharper and clearer.
Periodically when I would see them, because I would go down to combat, where if the tracks were present, I would get their range bearing, so I'd know exactly where they were and generally, you know, where to look in the sky for them. And I'd go look. A lot of times I couldn't see them, and sometimes I could see something. And then the only times that I could verify that there was actually something there is if it would shoot straight up, or it would move. And when they moved, and it would bug.
They were doing diagnostic tests on everything we had to make sure it was not a system malfunction. And it turned out that it wasn't. These were actually real objects. I had the highest spy track quality possible on these objects.
November 14th, 2004. 11:00 a.m. The objects return. The Nimitz cancels a scheduled drill and dispatches an operational flight. In command, David Fravor.
Systems operator, another jet. So they tell us all this, hey, we're in a real world vector, and they send us out 270 about 60 miles away from where we're going. So now we're going out even further out to sea. We have no idea what we're intercepting, and this is when the controller starts talking to us. He says, hey, sir, we've seen these objects.
They all dropped out of the sky from 28,000 feet down to 50 feet. It was unbelievable, because normally what would happen if a normal aircraft did that? First of all, it would fly apart. It wouldn't be able to withstand the G-forces, and there would be multiple sonic booms. It would be boom, 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 and this did not make any sonic booms.
Hey, sir, we've seen these objects. For 2 weeks, they've been coming down. We need you to go investigate. We want to know what these are.
But they're asking you to investigate in a jet that's unarmed.
That's correct. Yeah, we have no, and there's reasons for that we don't fly. We typically don't fly with live ordnance unless we're actually going into like a combat zone, or we're on a training range and we're going to shoot something. And you start doing training where you're squeezing the trigger, someone always messes the switchology up and someone gets shot down. It's happened multiple times. So we don't do it. You know, there's times that we do, but it's rare. So we start flying out to the west. Now I want you to think, because the other pilot has when you talk to her, here's the kind of goes through the mindset of, hey, we're off the coast of Mexico, real world vector. We have no idea what we're going to look at. Probably drug runner, because you get the drug runners coming up the coast. So we're like, okay, we're pretty conscious of what's going on out there with the waves and the wind. So we look. There's no waves. There's no wind. There's no white caps. And we look down and we see white water. So if you put a piece of land, a seamount below the surface, like, even 20 feet below the surface, it's big enough. As the waves come in, waves have height and length. When they come in, that's what happens on the shore. When a wave comes in, it hits, and then it starts to collapse, and it pushes the wave height up because it can't go anymore, and then it breaks over the top,
and that's where you get the white.
I can see those rocks, and at high tide, I can't see the rocks are covered, but there will be white water around those rocks. You'll be able to tell there's something underneath the surface. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So that's what it was. We don't see an object because there's all kinds of, oh, they saw another craft below the water. We didn't see anything below the water. We just saw white water. But the white water, and I like to shape it, you can say it was a cross. I say it's about the size of a 737. So it looks like if you took a 737, put it about 15, 20 feet below the water, so the wave's breaking over the top, and you're going to get white water where the plane is at, you'd see this kind of shape. So it looks like a cross. Dude, do you see that thing down there? And we saw this little white tic-tac looking object, and it's just kind of moving above the whitewater area.
The pilots who witnessed the UAP describe a white object shaped like a tic-tac. It moves with no wings, no rotors, no exhaust plumes. It hovers above the ocean, then shoots upward and vanishes in the blink of an eye. Commander Fravor begins a spiraling maneuver to intercept it.
The tic-tac's still pointing north-south. It goes and just turns abruptly and starts mirroring me. So as I'm coming down, it starts coming up.
So it's mimicking your moves.
Yeah, it was aware we were there. So I'll see how close I can get. So I go like this, and it's climbing still. When it gets right in front of me, it just disappears.
Disappears.
Like gone.
It had sped off. What are you thinking?
So your mind tries to make sense of it. I'm going to categorize this as maybe a helicopter or maybe a drone. And when it disappeared, I mean, it was just...
Did your backseaters see this too?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There was 4 of us in the airplanes literally watching this thing for roughly about 5 minutes.
As Fravor and Lieutenant Dietrich return to the carrier, the SPY-1 picks up the UAP again, now 60 miles away. Another pilot is ordered to continue the mission. His name is Chad Underwood. He will be the one to lock onto the object using the FLIR sensor.
Well, that was the initial contact is, I get a vector from the Princeton. You initially do that on your radar.
Okay.
You don't do that on your FLIR. Once you acquire your target from your radar, every other sensor that I have on board my aircraft is all slave to that target. So my FLIR, my electronic warfare systems, it's going to lock onto that target and it's going to look at that target and focus on that target. That's what it's designed to do.
So to be clear, so I understand, you did pick this thing up on radar first.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. You saw other sensor data. You saw radar data.
Yeah, of course. Once I got the target of interest on my radar, I took a lock, and that's when all the kind of the funky things started happening. The erratic nature of the tic-tac, the airspeed was very telling to me, and then we started seeing what we call jam strobe lines. Strobe lines are vertical lines that show up on your radar that are indications that you're being jammed. And the way that this object was behaving was not indicative of how a civilian or commercial aircraft would fly. Until you see the aggressive maneuver to the left off of my FLIR, anything that it's going to do is going to be tracked by the FLIR. And so when the target maneuvered off to the left of my screen, as you see on the FLIR display, that was a result of that object maneuvering itself, not me maneuvering my own aircraft.
This completely went off to your left, lost track at that moment the video ends, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. As we talked about earlier.
Because people are saying it loses track when the bars are widening, and it's not losing track.
It's just maintaining track. When it widens its bars, it's basically telling me that it's losing confidence in that track. But then it goes back. You see it widens out and then it goes back. It never dragged off the target. The FLIR is designed to and engineered to be able to hack that kind of maneuvering, but the way that aircraft maneuvered or that object, whatever, is not something that I can explain. It just went whip, and it was off to the races wherever it was going, and that was it.
At the end of the video, we see it appears the object shoots off to our left. Is that indeed what happened?
Oh yes, absolutely.
And did you radio into the Princeton and ask them, where is it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because the Princeton was our controller to begin with, if this tic-tac never existed. And so I immediately got on the radar. I'm like, hey, where is this thing? Because I only have a certain scan volume with my radar and my FLIR, and this thing is gone. And so I immediately radioed the Princeton and my E2 Hawkeye controller I'm like, hey, this target, based off of my bearing and range, where's it heading and where is it going? And they were like, negative radar contact, which means their radars are clean, you know, and they don't see anything.
Voorhees claims someone came onto the command deck, someone who ordered the logs erased. Patrick Hughes, custodian of the hard drives, also claims he was summoned by 2 Air Force officers who boarded shortly after the events to retrieve the data. The statement by Jason Turner, alleging that the FLIR video was longer than what was released by Mellon and Elizondo, remains unsupported. And in fact, Commander Fravor directly denied this claim.
Now, there's rumors that this video is like 10 minutes long. No, what you're looking at is the entire video. Now, notice where it says 99.9.
In the absence of verifiable evidence, this theory is excluded from our investigation. That UAP FLIR video would go on to become the visual proof seen around the world. But what exactly did the crew of the USS Nimitz encounter? To understand that, we need to examine the evidence in detail. Analyze every pixel.
In the infrared domain, there are no colors, only differences in heat. The object we are observing does not reflect visible light, but emits or reflects thermal radiation. In black hot mode, the hottest areas appear darker. Here, the object is hotter than the background. But heat alone is not enough to understand what it is. A conventional jet shows a complex thermal signature, exhausts, turbulence, directional heat. This one doesn't. It's uniform. Clean. And yet, it's hot. The hypotheses. Intrinsic thermal radiation. Environmental reflection. Or a thermal behavior that escapes our current categories. But one thing is certain, it's not an error. It's not an artifact. It's real. It's there, and the heat is only the first clue. Source thermique réel. Aucun artifact. Aucune distorsion connue. Signature cohérent avec un objet solide ou réfléchissant en mouvement contrôle. Données supplémentaires nécessaires pour la classification.
Radar is a system that uses radio waves to locate objects. It works in a simple way. It emits a pulse and waits for the echo. The faster the echo returns, the closer the object is. Modern radar systems, like the SPY-1 on the USS Princeton, use directional beams and can track hundreds of targets in real time, even at distances over 100 kilometers. But detection is only half the job. Understanding what an object is, that's another story. The FLIR is not a radar, but an infrared sensor. It detects heat, not reflections. It can lock onto targets that are invisible to radar even in the dark. Radar sees metal. FLIR sees energy.
The sensor does not show matter. It shows its thermal imprint. We are not observing an aircraft. We are observing the heat it emits. To determine the object's actual size, we follow a deductive path. A fixed point is needed, the distance.
Yeah, and my estimation at this point is that it was about 10 to 15 miles off my nose.
The field of view of the sensor in NAR mode is known, 2.0 degrade. In the analyzed frame, the object spans 21 pixels in width and 14 pixels in height. The total image width is 512 pixels. To determine the real size, we apply a trigonometric function. Since the angle is small, we can simplify using the tangent formula. The results do not indicate a drone, nor a cruise missile. What we are observing measures between 26 and 39 meters in width, depending on the distance, and between 17 and 26 meters in height. It is as large as a commercial airliner, but it doesn't fly like one. The sky doesn't lie, neither do the numbers.
1402 UTC, the contact-designated FLIR-1 is locked by the sensor of Underwood's Super Hornet. The data calculated by Minerva based on the 10 to 15 miles estimated by the pilot indicate an object much larger than the one reported by Commander Fravor's team. Yet, the technicians aboard the USS Princeton confirm that the object recorded by Underwood is the same one seen by Fravor's team. Therefore, if the object was the same, the heat it emitted may have distorted its apparent size. Alternatively, the object could have been less than 5 miles away, even if it was not visually detected by Underwood, though this hypothesis remains unverifiable at this time. The object remains stationary, no sign of propulsion, no thermal exhaust. Then suddenly, at the 48th second, an abrupt movement. The object literally jumps off the FLIR tracking system, but initially the FLIR bars managed to recapture it. Finally, at 1 minute and 12 seconds, something incredible appears. Since the UAP crosses from the center to the edge of the screen, it covers 1 degree in terms of visual angle, moving approximately 1 degree in just under 1 second. To convert this angular displacement into linear displacement, we use the arc length formula. The object covered 323.5 meters in 0.96 seconds, from stationary to 1,213 km/h in less than a second. This corresponds to a gravitational acceleration of 35 Gray. Considerations: this is only an apparent velocity. It is not a conventional object, neither by today's standards nor those of 2004. If the object moved diagonally, this would be an underestimate. no human pilot could survive such acceleration without an unknown compensatory system, nor could a conventional mechanical body withstand such stress without disintegrating.
The object's behavior is neither random nor chaotic. It exhibits intention. There are three possibilities. It is an object with its own intelligence, synthetic or unknown, thus an autonomous entity, a form of non-biological life. It is remotely controlled or autonomous, managed by an external operator or software from a distance. It is guided by organic intelligence, meaning a biological or hybrid life form is piloting the UAP from within. The flight of the object, its acceleration, and its reaction to radar lock exclude inanimate objects, atmospheric phenomena, and malfunctions. Instead, they indicate control, intention, and awareness.
The object is detected by radar. It is visible through the FLIR. The systems encounter tracking difficulties indicating anomaly 99.9. Yet the object is not visible to the naked eye, despite the estimated distance and optimal weather conditions.
At 10-15 nautical miles, an object between 30 and 40 meters in size should be visible under clear conditions.
My estimation at this point is that it was about 10 to 15 miles off my nose.
And then the only times that I could verify that there was actually something there is if it would shoot straight up or it would move.
The UAP may possess optical stealth capabilities, meaning some form of active or passive camouflage.
Fravor hypothesizes that the object was either jumping from one position to another, or moving erratically at extremely high speeds. Its invisibility could be caused by high-frequency motion.
Personally, I believe that a possible interaction between the UAP and the surrounding atmospheric medium could bend or scatter visible light, making it transparent to the human eye.
Range 99.9 means distance not available. It is a placeholder value that appears when the system fails to complete the lock-on. This usually occurs when the object does not properly reflect the radar signal. There is active jamming present. The object has an extremely low radar signature. The relative movement speeds exceed the radar's operating parameters.
At this point in the investigation, I can state, the object is real, solid, autonomous. It does not correspond to any known technology. It displays behavior consistent with operational intelligence. But who, or what, was observing us still remains to be discovered.
All known phenomena and technologies are excluded, and the origin remains unknown. This implies that the object does not belong to any known frame of reference, neither natural nor technological. But in the absence of other hypotheses, secret technology seems to me the most plausible one.
I cannot exclude it 100%, but it requires a greater hypothetical leap than is normally accepted in real-world scenarios. It's possible, but highly unlikely.
I consider it highly unlikely, but not entirely impossible. However, this still doesn't explain a knowledge of physical laws unknown to most of humanity.
I cannot say what it is. I can only say with reasonable certainty what it is not. And what it is not is anything within our current scientific, technological, or atmospheric understanding.
All the data suggests that this is a solid, intelligent object, unknown in both capability and behavior. However, its nature and origin remain undetermined with the current data. This is, nevertheless, the only hypothesis that does not collapse logically under the weight of the evidence.
It remains the most plausible hypothesis at the moment. If it is extraterrestrial life, is the invisibility a limitation or intentional? And what if the object itself is a form of unknown life?